Hi there, this is Mr. Frazier, and we're going to go over lesson 8.1 and 8.2. Okay, so 8.1 deals with some vocab, and it was being able to do a box and whisker. It also dealt with being able to do a dot plot. And it's kind of funny we call it a dot plot because we're actually going to use X's to show my data. And then we're going to do some descriptions of the data. So I'm going to do something relative. We're going to say we've got some basketball teams and they've won the following games. Okay, so we've got a team that won 20 games, another team that won 23 games, a team that won 36 games, Kentucky, a team that won 25 games, a team that won 19 games, a team that won 18 games, a team that won 22 games, 22 games, 21 games, and a team that won 20 games. Okay, so whenever they give you a range of information, the first thing you want to always do is take those numbers and put them in order. Okay, hopefully you know what order I'm talking about, so I'd list them. So I've got 18, 19, 20, 20, 21, 22, 22, 23, 25, and 36. And then I want to double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Because if I start out missing numbers, then as I keep going, I'm going to have a problem. So I've listed my numbers. Then I go ahead and I draw my dot plot. I'm going to start with the number 18. Then every one of these would be a number. So 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 6, 7, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36. Okay. So I'm listing all my numbers. Now, I'm not going to write every number. And what happens if I can't write every number? Because I'm running out of space. I can go every other one if I want. And I just have to remember that the spots in between are still being counted. So even though it says 27 to 29, the number in between is 28. Correct. And then I mark those down. So X, 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 and X, 23, 25, and 36. So there is my dot plot. All right? So if I asked you, is this measurement or this data symmetric? Skewed, left or right, okay. I look at my information. If it was symmetric, when I go ahead and draw a line over it, okay. If it was symmetric, it would look like this, or as close to that as possible. This doesn't look symmetric. So some of you would say, well, maybe it's called skewed left. Well, the name skewed left or skewed right is based on the data that's all by itself. So because this is way off to the right, this one would be skewed to the right. All right, so far nothing too difficult. Been able to do the dot plot. Well, let's do a box and whisker. Well, box and whisker has me find the median. So I take the same information I have and I go ahead and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, and I have 2 that are in the median, 21 and 22. So I'm supposed to add those two together and divide by 2. So whenever you have data that's in the middle and there's a tie, that's whenever it's evens, because there's 10 numbers, you always add and divide by 2. So this one would be 21 and a half. So 21 and a half is the first line of my box and whisker. Now I look at the information below. So this half of information. And I go 1, 2, oh, and the number in the middle of these 5 numbers is the number 20. So that's my lower box. Now I have to do the upper box. So that would be the upper 5 numbers. And again, I go to the middle. Right? Because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, I go to the middle, which means 22 and 36. And that middle is 23. So I've now completed my box. I've found 3 medians. The median of all the information, the median of the lower half, and the median of the upper half. And that's where I get my box. My whiskers go to the numbers that I stopped at. So 36 and 18. And you've now successfully done a box and whisker. So we have a dot plot, a box and whisker. If I wanted to do this as a histogram, I'd have to group the numbers. So I'd have to do something like this and create my own intervals. So I'm going to go 18 to 20, 20 to 22, 22 to 24, 24 to 26, and I would keep going on all the way out until I got to where my 36 was. And then on this side, I would put numbers. So this would be 1 team, 2 teams, 3 teams. Okay, so I've kind of gone over my picture here, and now I'm going to pay attention. How many teams were from 18 to 20? There was 4. So my histogram would look like this. Okay. How many teams from 21 to 22? There is 3. Okay. How many teams from 23 to 24? And I would see that there is 1. Now the reason it's called a histogram is because it covers a group of information. And then I go from 24 to 26, or excuse me, 25 to 26. And from 25 to 26, again I have 1. But then I'm going to have a whole bunch of space until I get to the end, which goes from 35 to 36, and there'll be another 1. This one is called an outlier because it's out away from the rest of the information. Okay? So here we go. We've got all of it done. We've done a dot plot, a box and whisker. We've even done a histogram to represent the same data. Now a lot of times they're going to tell you what the interval is. Once they tell you the interval, you just continue it throughout the entire graph. All right? This is called an outlier. And then the next thing that we talk about is the mean. And that's the one you're used to. And we're really not worried about how to find the mean. It's an average. We add up all the numbers and divide by the number of numbers. And in this case, we know there's 10 numbers. So we would add these all up and divide by 10. And mean is written as this. So it's just understanding the notation. So for the mean for this problem, I'd add them all up. Right, 18 plus 19 plus 40, because that's 20 twice, plus 21, plus 44, because that's 22 twice, plus 23, plus 25 plus 36 divided by 10, and I get 22.6. Okay. Now, which measurement is going to be more appropriate? The mean, which is 22.6, or the median of 21.5? That's what 8.2 was. So not only did we find the mean, which was pretty easy, you add them all up and divide by the number there was, which was 10, but then deciding which measurement represents the best measure of central tendency. And I'm hoping you say 21.5 does. 21.5 is close to where all the data is. Whereas 22.6 is being pulled because it's skewed to the right. So this is actually higher than where most of the information is, simply because the number is so much higher than the rest of them. And that was all the information from 8.1 and 8.2. Again, most of this was done in elementary and middle school several times. Mean, median, mode, those things were all done before. We're looking at vocab, symmetric, skewed left, skewed right. We're looking at which measurement would be better to use. Those are the things we've done in 8.1 and 8.2. All right, thank you very much, and I wish you luck.